Township Planning Commission meeting, April 18th, 2017. Everyone stand, hats off, say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody take a minute and look at the minutes of last meeting. Anybody have any questions or comments concerning him? Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from February 7th, 2017.
No second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Ayes have it. The review of the conditional use application for LWR Hair and Expressions.
I'll start with ag security.
Oh, you want to start with ag?
Ag security.
Okay, we'll start with ag security. Now you want to do it later on. All right, go ahead.
This is a 71-acre park. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parcels over in Justice. They run kind of behind Kenny Powell's development and Silver Maple up that way. That Elizabeth Walensky owns. She lives out of town in Crumlin, Pennsylvania. However, she wants to add it to the township's ag security area. The original ag security area was done through the planning commission and the supervisor years ago. Additions to the ag security area are normally just done by the supervisors, which probably could have been done in this case, but we just to be on the safe side, because this one is completely separate from any other ag secure zones. The supervisor wanted you guys to review it. It has been reviewed by the county already and recommended for approval. And Soil and Water, obviously, the ones that actually submit the application to us, they recommend approval. So it's more of a formality than anything, but the 71 acres would be added to an ag security zone, which would allow only for agricultural use. The farm is currently used for just hay. She did submit crop reports. It's actually, she didn't do it, but she did submit crop reports for the last 7 or 8 years. She does, they do take the hay and stuff off of that. I think somebody had corn or soybeans planted on it at 1.2.
By doing this, what does that do to that property? Does that permanently put it in a situation where nothing else can do it?
Well, it does to some extent. However, you can always take it out of the ag security zone, but what normally happens, and I assume that's what will happen in this situation, is that once it's in the ag security zone, they can also then apply for a conservation easement through the state and through soil and water conservation, at which point it would be, there would be some money exchanged from the state, and then it would absolutely be agricultural only. Each parcel could have 1 house put on it. So with 5 parcels, she could put 5 houses on, but couldn't divide it into 71-acre lots. If they did that, then the penalty and some sort of money-wise. But that would be a later step, which we actually have nothing to do with. But I think this is the first step towards that, because it did speak to her ultimate goal is to have that land for her children and grandchildren, but not be developed. So.
Anybody have any questions concerning this proposal? And all we're really looking at is to recommend approval to send it off to the supervisor.
Right.
And it's
would the township, you know, if they were want to pave Silver Maple through there, this would prevent that, right?
What's that?
This would prevent the township from paving Silver Maple
No.
through there, should they want to.
No, it would, that's a 50-foot road anyway, and we own, you know, 50-foot right over there, so it wouldn't impact us at all. The only thing that would restrict at some point would be, like I said, development. They can put one house on each parcel, I believe, and that's it, so. It's good for the township to leave some open areas, it doesn't get all built up, but it doesn't completely restrict buildings, so. There's no tax consequence to us or anything for that. She doesn't get a tax reduction or anything on this, so it doesn't affect the township in a monetary way.
Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? I'll take a motion.
I'll move we approve the Mawanski Ag Security Area Edition as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now that we're just gonna pass it on to the supervisors for the final approval.
Right. You guys want to take a couple minutes, she's on her way, but to review that information that the applicants supplied, they're provided for the worker expression. She's got a diagram of the property, diagram of the salon space, business plan. There is some information from Gary
Guys,
Wilding.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It was my son's first day of school today.
There's some information from Gary Wilding attached, which is fairly relevant. They've installed a water meter and they've been taking readings. And Gary has determined that for now, the system that they have is capable of handling the additional sewage from a one operator facility. She's going to have 2 chairs, but 1 operator. And this would be acceptable with the amount of sewage that the home is producing now. However, he does recommend that readings be continued for, I believe, another year, right? Yes, he...
1 year from
yeah.
when you guys own.
Right. Continue meter readings for a year. In the event that, you know, she gets busy, the sewage may increase, and at which point she may need to install a second tank downstream of the existing 1,000-gallon tank. So Gary would monitor that and monitor the flows on that. I would recommend that any motion that's sent to the supervisor would include Gary's recommendations for the meter readings, et cetera.
If we're gonna do that, who would be responsible for monitoring?
She has a meter at the house, and she would, the water meter she installed at the house, she would send the readings to Gary on a regular basis. He would monitor the flow.
Every night I write down the water, the date, the time. He said it wants to be within an hour or so each day. And I send him a chart of how many gallons of water per day I'm using. So they are estimating that 400 gallons of water per day is what my system can handle. We are currently using about 157 on average.
DEP sets up to a 3-bedroom house at 400 gallons a day, and then a 1 operator salon at 200 gallons a day, which would overload her system in theory because it's only designed for 400 gallons. But most 3-bedroom houses don't use 400 gallons, and most 1 operator salons don't use 200 gallons. So Gary is going off of the actual usage. Her system, in addition to the Gary doing the readings and checking it, was inspected as part of the online management system, or online management thing, and it did pass. There were no issues.
And we did have 1 inspection prior to purchasing. Our patio needs some work, has some water damage. So the plumbing for the septic runs underneath the patio. So we hired Homer Butler Septic. Apparently he must be the top rated septic inspector in Pennsylvania, I'm being told. We hired him to inspect back in 2010. Unfortunately, they had a computer glitch and couldn't get me that report, but they were able to verify to Gary that everything was well.
Yeah, it was also done by KBA, right?
Yes,
Yes.
KBA 12. I
Yeah.
actually have the inspection report on
Right,
that. as well.
June 12th, that was part of our online. It wasn't inspected and it passed.
The only thing that I wanted to ask, and I don't know that I'm going to get anywhere with it, on the one operator is if I can, if you guys permit it, I do have one girl who would like to work like 5 hours a week, and I am certainly not putting in 40 hours a week. I don't know if you would give me permission to let somebody work 1 day a week or not, as long as my water readings lay. He's tracking them, and if anything hits over 400, that's when my new system needs to be put in. And I know that if on a daily basis it's hitting near that 400 mark, we want a new system put in. We don't want to override our system either. So I don't know if that would be permissible, or if it has to go back to Gary, or how that would work for me to hire somebody on she's going back to school, she's leaving the industry. She's a very dear friend of mine, she's actually my hairdresser. And she wanted literally about 5 hours a week, which is, I have 3,255 gallons of water left for my salon to use a week, and I put in my business plan I would accept 40 clients, and at those 40 clients, at that water consumption, I would have to use 58 gallons of water on each client to override my system. Essentially, each client could shower 3 times and flush my toilet twice. So if I keep within that 40 clients, I don't see the problem in bringing her in to do 2 or 3 people a week, but I don't know if you guys will.
The issue is not septic, the issue is that it's a home occupation.
Right.
And the home occupation requirement says that it has to be a resident, that it's for a resident of the property to run a business in their home.
So am I never going to be allowed to hire her?
If it's kept as a home occupation, yeah, it would be.
Is there any way I can get around that?
You would have to apply for a variance to the zoning hearing board. But home occupation is designed for a single user in their own home.
Okay, what about an assistant or a receptionist? How does that work? Is it the same?
Well, that would be, if you needed somebody to answer the phone, it's different, but, they don't want, they can turn into a.
So that would be me come down and talk to you and reapply?
That would be a separate thing with you at
Okay.
that point, but, for this, this particular application was for a conditional use for a home occupation, so, that was, so.
What are, let me know at the end of this if there will be any conditions on the assistant, like, maybe to shampoo for me once in a while, to answer the phones, to book my appointment.
The supervisors actually set the conditions these guys recommend to them, so. So the meeting immediately after this is the hearing where
Okay.
they will actually set the conditions these guys
Okay.
recommend.
Does Ryan know how to do hair?
Ryan does not know how to do hair. No, he doesn't.
There's an option for you right there.
I know, and unfortunately, he is working 10-hour shifts, 2.5 hours away, so he couldn't do that. So I brought my sister.
Other than septic, which was the major concern, everything else seems in order. She does have enough, but she has room for parking and entrances in and out, causing any kind of traffic problems. So.
Does anyone on the board have any questions? Tom? Anybody else? Rose, what would you like to know?
When you're talking about the water usage, how is the chemicals and the perms and everything else that gets washed in the water, how is that addressed?
We don't address the septic. The state doesn't regulate that stuff going into the septic, so we don't either.
No.
They don't really have.
We will be getting, the every 3-year inspection. So if they're doing a dye test or things like that, and things are coming up in the yard, we would have to assume the chemicals were also, we would want to, I have a 3-year-old and a dog, so I would want to address that also.
And a well.
And well. Okay. the water meter, was actually placed on the well inlet line, so we know exactly what's going through. We're probably using some water that's not even being in the system, but, we're tracking exactly what's going through the well line itself.
Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah. Bill, you might be able to remember, back when the last beauty parlor went in prior to the sewer over in Justice, it was right next to Andy McCollum's house. Didn't they make him put a holding tank in for the beauty parlor? And then have it pumped to collect all the chemicals?
That's an answer.
I don't.
I think that there was they had to put an extra tank in because of the flows. Which is what she would have to do if her flows went over, she would have to put an additional 500
I thought
gallon
it was
tank
a holding tank. I didn't think it went into the leach field. I thought it was a holding tank that went in to collect the chemicals for the peroxide and stuff like that, that would go out. And the beauty parlor was on a separate drain, the drainage that emitted from the house went into a separate holding tank.
I know.
I may be wrong, but if you check back to that.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
Carl recommended that.
Yeah.
Carl Fromm recommended that to me to solve the water flow problem for me. He recommended a holding tank, about a 1,500 gallon tank that I could pay him or somebody else to empty every time it gets full. Unfortunately, when I talked to, and that was an option that we really kind of wanted because it would solve that whole problem. And unfortunately, when I talked to Homer Butler for Butler Septic, they said that 2 years ago they put a variance on holding tanks and they're no longer a legal option. The only way they would let me do a holding tank, or the only way you guys, if you did your research, would let me permission to do a holding tank, is if I had an existing business that was causing a chemical waste problem. That was the solution.
The holding tanks, that's by municipality, isn't it?
Well, DEP doesn't allow them anymore unless, and we do have an ordinance, unless central sewers are coming, you can use them temporarily until you
Because I know
come to a
we
central
use
sewer.
them.
Yeah, we use
Or
them
if
in
you
all
plan on
that
hooking
system.
septic
Right,
into it within
yeah.
a year, they'll do it.
Right, yeah,
That was actually an
DEP
ideal
doesn't-
option for
yeah,
us.
DEP doesn't really allow it, like I said, our ordinance does allow it if the sewer was gonna run down there, but if not. And I did do it, Gary, and I did talk about that, like I said, the DEP really doesn't regulate the chemicals from this line going into this, they don't seem to think it's an issue. I guess as long as, my assumption is because of as long as the water is under the thing, it's gonna sit in the tank long enough to be neutralized before it goes into your drain filter anyway, and the amount of chemicals that would go into the septic tank would be limited in comparison to the water, so it would be so diluted that.
I also talked to Homer Butler about an aerobic system. Because originally we were talking about an $18,000 replacement system. And I talked to Homer Butler about an aerobic system, which if that ever became an issue would solve that. So instead of the 500 gallon tank that Gary Wilding is suggesting we add, an aerobic system is essentially another 500 to 1,000 gallon tank. It would go into that first and then into our existing system. And the aerobic system has electricity provided to it, so it agitates the tank. And with that agitation, it multiplies the bacteria. It doesn't solve the water flow, but in his township, that is what, and he's the one I've dealt with, so I've talked to him. In his township, that is what they do if you want to add additional bedrooms. Because even though it doesn't change the water flow, by the time the water gets to the drain field, it is drinkable. That's how a sewage treatment plant works, and they dump the water into the creek. So if there ever was an issue, I'm not opposed to a solution like that.
Butler could drink it.
Yeah.
The things like the peroxides and other stuff, the septic works because of bacteria and stuff in there.
And I wonder if there is an additive that Gary or somebody will recommend that we add to the tank to offset, you know.
That's likely to kill
Right.
bacteria and defeat the whole.
I have thought about that, absolutely.
I
And
mean-
nobody's really gave a conclusion that it is necessary.
Donnie and I were talking before, though, I mean, even my house before I hooked up to the sewer, there was so much antibacterial, everything, and bleach and cleaner going into my septic system. I don't think it was, there wasn't a whole lot of bacteria growing in there. I think we're running into the same problems a lot of places, the antibacterial soaps and cleaners and cleansers.
I did offer to Gary, he said it wasn't necessary, that if anybody wanted me to submit to yearly inspections or anything, they're only gonna protect me also. I certainly would be willing.
It would still be regulated by our 3-year on-lot system. It regardless, so it would be inspected every 3 years regardless of whether there's a business there or not, so that would continue. And, you know, the year with the reading would give us a better idea at the end of it, whether business was increasing to the point where she needed to add another tank, but for right now, Gary seems to feel it's okay.
Do you have any other questions? Take a motion. Anybody? I'll ask one more time.
Do you have any questions on other than what's in the business plan? I haven't heard.
The Gary.
I mean, other than what's in this package.
Yeah, that-
I haven't heard any additional,
Like I said, I would recommend Gary's recommendations, but other than that, I just look to you guys, but I don't know. A lot of the stuff is covered in the ordinance, the signage and that kind of stuff is already spelled out in the ordinance, so she's got parking, she's got, I don't, nothing else jumps out at me as being an issue to be concerned about it. I don't think it should be damage or lighting or.
Your recommendation.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve and forward to the supervisors the conditional use application of LWR Air Expressions.
And a second. All in favor, signify by
All the
saying.
KBA recommendations.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Does anybody have any other comments concerning the township, planning commission? Any motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Meeting adjourned.